Alright, so what I recommend using when you're developing the joints for your model is working from the front, top, and side views. So I'm going to start with the spine here, and remember you need to set your, it's either under rigging or animation, I do believe. So long as you can see skeleton, create joints, I'm going to go to the create joints dialog box, reset the tool, and then start. So your first joint is going to be around the pelvic region. I'm going to start here at the tail end of the figure. Click once. It's my first joint. Usually they set up another one here around the hip, so it's like the tail, the hip, the stomach, the chest, neck, the head, and then the top of the head. Now if you want to be certain to link this chain up, you see my chain here is kind of rickety, I guess, if you want to call it that. In which case I can always turn on my snap to grid option, so that way I just snap these joints into place to the nearest grid line. If you want to be perfectly symmetrical or keep this item centered perfectly, you know, it's up to you. Actually, I should set this for X-ray as well. I'm going to do that for all of my windows here real quick, like shading, X-ray. It's just when there's a high polygon mesh like this, it just makes it easier to work with selecting an object. Wireframe's good, but with a model like this, there's just way too much information that gums things up. So this is my starting point. I mean, it might look fine from the front view, but remember the spine curves, so I'm going to have to go to the side here. Select the base using the move tool. Move it where I want it to be, right around the tail area here. And then select these other joints, move them into place, right along the back. And just line these up exactly the way you want to. I mean, of course, you may find yourself moving them later on. What I mean by that is when you bind the skin to the bones and you start moving the joints around, you'll know whether or not this was a good setup. What I mean by that is the layout of the bones will determine how the skin deforms. So once you bind the skin to the bones and you start moving these joints around and you're not getting the look that you want, you can always undo that last move and then, you know, move the bones around and bind it again. Again, like I said, it just takes practice and how complex your model is. So this is just the initial setup here. I'm going to bring up my hypergraph hierarchy. And as you can see here, we have all of these items labeled. Joint 1, joint 2, joint 3. That's the default name. But like I was saying, you got to label these things properly in order to get used to working with this program. So I'm going to go to rename, and I'm simply going to call this one like imp base. And then go here. I'm going to call this one spine 01. Could be spine A, spine B, spine C, all that good stuff. Actually, I'm going to copy that. Copy. Okay. Rename. Then I just do that all the way down the line. So if I take a look at it in perspective view, you'll see that it looks pretty good. I mean, we won't know until we actually bind the skin, but you know, generally, if you set it up similar to this and you bind it and it doesn't work, like I said, you can always undo that last move and then rebind the skin again. Next area, we'll talk about creating, you know, just real simple leg bones and arm bones, and then show you how to attach them to the model.